Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Eimear McKeown. Today's top stories. The Technological University of the South East Consortium welcomes funding of €2 million. The DUP is standing firm in rejecting Boris Johnson's new Brexit plan. Waterford parents inquired about insurance cover before sending their children to birthday parties. And in sport, Waterford FC are Donegal bound for this evening's clash against Finn Harps. The Technological University of South East Ireland Consortium has welcomed funding of €2 million. The application from WIT and IT Carlow has still not been submitted. In June, the process suffered a setback when a memorandum of understanding between both ITs was rejected by the unions in Carlow. President of IT Carlow, Dr Patricia Mulcahy, says this new funding will enable them to move to the next stage, while President of WIT, Professor Willie Donnelly, said it would allow them to accelerate the project to completion. Minister for Education Joe McKeown says WIT and IT Carlow must follow the process set out. He was responding to a question from Waterford Sinn Féin TD David Cullinan, who says he's very disappointed that the application from the South East Consortium has still not been submitted.
In terms of the overall number of applications, it's way behind some of the others. We really need to get a push on this to get this over the line. The South East does not have a university. This will be the first university for the South East in the history of the state. The National Planning Framework says that Waterford City population will grow by 50%, and yet we have so many students who are leaving the region to get a third level qualification outside the region.
Minister McKeown says the government is anxious for the application for a TU in the South East to be submitted.
The process is really important here, and if you look at all the different IoTs that are engaged in this process at the moment, South East we're committed to doing that, but at an individual level, certainly in the South East, that momentum needs to be kept. My colleague Minister Mary Mitchell-O'Connor is very anxious to see a lot of these IoTs going from where they're at the moment to get university status, and that journey will continue for the South East.
The DUP is standing firm and says it won't be supporting Boris Johnson's new Brexit plan. Without their support, the British Prime Minister faces a fight when MPs vote on it in a historic sitting of Parliament tomorrow. Our political correspondent, Sean Defoe, is in Brussels, where EU leaders continue to meet.
From the EU side, this deal is done. They've done their part and it's now over to Boris Johnson. That's the message from leaders like Mark Rutte and Charles Michel.
Here you have a deal which is taking into account all the red lines.
I'm happy, I'm positive, but I'm also cautious because now we will see if it's possible for the British Parliament.
So the attention now on London and whether Boris Johnson can get the numbers. Labour's John McDonnell says there will be consequences for any members of his party who vote for it.
The three-line whip will apply and we'll expect Labour MPs to vote against this deal.
While the DUP are dead against the deal, and Sammy Wilson has been briefing against the Prime Minister's chances.
But even with our votes in the House of Commons since he took up the position of Prime Minister, he hasn't been able to win any votes.
British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab, one of the deal's cheerleaders this morning.
It's a cracking deal for Northern Irish business because they stay part of the UK customs territory, but they've got seamless access to the EU single market.
The picture on votes is still pretty muddled. Some in the UK suggesting that it could be as tight as 2 votes against the deal. Others that the gulf is a bit bigger. It tees up a very dramatic Super Saturday in the Commons tomorrow. Sean Defoe from Brussels.
The boss of Dublin City Council is under growing pressure to explain when he first became aware of the so-called protection payments. Investigations are underway into claims that developers working for the council in Cherry Orchard in 2016 and 2017 paid criminals to stop attacking their builders. Labour councillor Joe Costello says the council's chief executive, Owen Keegan, is trying to stop councillors from meeting to discuss the issue.
What I'm really looking for is an update from the chief executive. Our good name is tarnished, if the council's good name is tarnished, and in relation to his statement that this is not the appropriate time and that he's not in a position to give any report, I cannot accept that.
Meanwhile, Waterford was one of the areas involved in a search operation carried out yesterday by the Criminal Assets Bureau. It was targeting a Limerick criminal suspected of extorting money from construction companies. CAB, with the assistance of the Garda Armed Support Unit, carried out 9 searches across Waterford, Cork and Limerick at premises associated with the man, who's alleged to have forced a number of builders to employ his unlicensed security services. Parents now want to know about insurance cover before sending their children to birthday parties. It was reported this week in Waterford that parents had inquired about another family's insurance policy before allowing their children to attend a party. Mothers inquired if a house had liability insurance before sending their 6-year-olds to a birthday party there. Minister Michael Darcy told Damien Tiernan on Daysha Today that he blamed the insurance compensation culture and says he hopes the establishment of a judicial council will reverse the trend.
I just hate to hear things of that nature, but unfortunately there are and I am saying this, there are a very small number of people who behave like that, but unfortunately that is the case. We've all seen cases that we're all scratching our heads going, how in the name of God did somebody get awarded that quantity of money?
A call from Tramore-based councillor for funding to purchase and demolish the Grand Hotel has received the backing of Waterford Minister of State John Halligan. The hotel has lain vacant since 2014 and the matter is now due before Waterford District Court after the owners failed to comply with a derelict sites notice which was served last year. Independent councillor Joe Conway says the owner of the hotel is unlikely to do anything with it and rather than having it fester in the middle of the town, action needs to be taken. He says transforming the area into a public space would bring people visiting the beach up to the centre of the town.
Observationally, living half my lifetime here in Tramore, a lot of the people who come to Tramore stay on the seafront, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's perfectly beautiful and a great family attraction. But for businesses that are trying to move ahead in the centre of the town, we need more footfall. And a nice centre of the town that would show off Tramore to its best advantage would be a great attraction.
Minister John Halligan says he agrees.
Years ago you go to Tramore, you knew of the Grand Hotel. As it is now, there's nothing happening there. It's in a terrible state of disrepair. If it requires a compulsory purchase order, it should be done, and I think Joe was right to call for that. Let's not leave the structure as it is. Do something with it. If nobody's going to buy it and do it up as a hotel, well then maybe it needs to go the way that Joe is suggesting.
Gardaí in Waterford City are investigating a number of burglaries over the last 24 hours. Between 2:50pm and midnight yesterday, a house at Woodlawn Grove on the Cork Road was broken into. The front door was damaged, the house was ransacked and a small amount of cash was taken. A house at Ashley Drive in Cherrymount was broken into between 2:30pm yesterday and 1am this morning. The front window was damaged and the house was ransacked. Gardaí say 3 youths on bikes were seen in the area acting suspiciously. If anyone has information, please contact Waterford Garda Station on 051 305 300. A Waterford aesthetic doctor has welcomed plans to introduce stricter regulations on cosmetic procedures. Dozens of incidents involving Botox and dermal fillers have been reported to the state's medical regulator in recent years. Minister for Health Simon Harris has asked his officials to see if there is a need to further regulate the sector. Dr Tracy Godfrey from the Genesis Clinic in Waterford City says teenagers are accessing cosmetic treatments they don't need.
Well, I think it's about time. These are medical procedures. But it seems to me that they're being advertised as something like having your eyebrows tinted or having eyelash extensions. And unfortunately, it seems to be a lot of young girls who are influenced by people on social media. And they are starting to look quite deformed, actually. I would tell them no. If they didn't need anything, don't do anything. I will give them much more information on skin health and how to look after their skin.
WLR Sport.
And a very good afternoon at the Sports Desk. I'm Gavin, Whelan, starting with soccer, and Waterford FC are Donegal bound this evening. The Blues take on Finn Harps in their penultimate game of the season. In the Electricity League Premier Division, the Blues are hoping to make it a 4th successive away win on the spin. Kevin Lynch, the Waterford FC defender, says the Blues are the informed team in the league at the moment, and he has regrets about what occurred in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I was looking at a table the other day. I think it's ourselves and Dundalk. We met as a team there a couple of weeks ago, and we all decided between ourselves that we need to aim for something towards the end of the season. Luckily the tables have turned and we're not looking at the bottom anymore. We're kind of mid-table now, but saying that if there had been a couple of more games we could have been looking at Europe, so I think that's a bit disheartening. Just the middle of the season didn't go as well.
Kick-off in Donegal is at 8pm. WLR will broadcast the game live thanks to Clem Jacob Hire with the commentary team Ray Scott and Matt Keane. Our coverage getting underway at 7:45. Ireland out half Johnny Sexton says they're ready to play the game of their lives in tomorrow's Rugby World Cup quarter-final against New Zealand. It'll be the Leinster captain's first start in a quarter-final as Joe Schmidt's side look to upset the back-to-back world champions. Sexton says they've worked hard this week to be in the best possible shape.
You can prepare really well and you can put yourself in with the best chance of doing it, and we've done that all week. We've had a good week's prep. Guys are going in fresh and ready to go, but we've had weeks like that where we haven't performed, and we've had weeks like that where everything's gone perfectly and we've played brilliant, so nothing really counts until tomorrow kick-off time, and we got to produce the goods then.
11:15am is the kick-off Irish time tomorrow morning for the big one between the boys in green and New Zealand. Next to news of Gaelic games, and the countdown is on to Sunday's much anticipated County Senior Football Championship final in Frahar Field. It is Balnacourty and Rathcormac contesting the last County Senior Football final of the decade on Sunday. Courty finished strongly to end the Nire's reign as champions in the semi-finals, while Rathcormac were impressive in their win over a fancied Stradbally in the last four. Balnacourty goalkeeper and captain Stephen Inright is aiming for his fourth county medal and a special place in the club's history come Sunday afternoon.
It's like a lot of lads are pushing on now at this stage that you want to win one more. I always think about in the club, like there's this the team that won back in the 70s and early 80s, like they call it the 3 in a row or whatever, like in those lads, and I suppose the aim for us would be to hopefully win one more than them, just to say when we meet them around the places, like we've that one extra, like so it's just those fun things, I suppose, that you can celebrate around the county medals, like, but at the same time they are definitely to be cherished, like, and they're definitely hard come by.
You can hear more from Stephen Inright on this evening's Lorna Porca County Football Final Special with Tomás from 6 here on WLR. Throw in Sunday 3:30pm in Frahar Field. WLR will broadcast the game live thanks to George Corbett Skoda with commentary team Tomás McCarthy and Jason Ryan on air from 3:15. Bricky Rangers and Portlaw will bid to maintain their senior football status tonight. The sides clash in the relegation final in Frahar Field with throw in at 7:45pm. Elsewhere, the Eastern Junior C hurling final takes place at the WIT Arena tonight. It's a 7:30 start for the meeting of Nave Pole, who take on Butlerstown. Just reverting back there to news of soccer, and this month's El Clasico between Barcelona and Real Madrid has been postponed. The Spanish football authorities there have made the decision because of fears of civil unrest. 5 more men have been arrested over the racist behaviour which marred England's Euro 2020 qualifier against Bulgaria midweek. It takes the total number who've been detained to 16. 4 supporters have already been banned from attending any sporting event over the next 2 years. And to news of racing, finally, there's an all-weather car. There's a card on the all-weather at Dundalk this evening. The first at the Loud track is off at 5:15. That's the latest on WLR. Our next bulletin is at 2.